MSW Media.
News with swearing. Daily beans, daily beans. Daily beans, daily beans.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Beans for Thursday, November 13th, 2025. Today, House Democrats have released a new trove of Epstein files from the Epstein estate, and Republicans are panicking. Adelita Grijalva was sworn in and signed the Epstein Files discharge petition. Trump himself called Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert to pressure them to take their names off the discharge petition for the Epstein Files. Blanche, Bondi, and Patel met with Lauren Boebert in the Situation Room Wednesday to discuss the Epstein problem. The House is trying to pass a standalone bill to repeal that provision that allows senators to sue for $500,000 apiece if their phones are searched. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent used a Medicare tax dodge to save money. The Supreme Court justices have extended Ketanji Brown Jackson's SNAP benefits pause over her dissent. Democrats seek an investigation into the propaganda that blames Democrats for the shutdown. Trump has defended the need for H-1B visas, saying there's no talent in the United States. And Abughazaleh and her co-defendants have pled not guilty to the trumped-up charges against them. I'm your host, Allison Gill. Well, that could be a record for headlines. I'm not quite sure what the record is these days. It's always pretty long, but that was out there. Dana's out today raising money for great causes. So it's a thank you for hanging in with me solo. Abughazaleh, who we had on the show this past week, and others pled not guilty today during their arraignment in federal court. They were indicted, as you know, recently for impeding ICE officers and could face up to 7 years in prison while peacefully protesting at the Broadview ICE facility in Chicago. I think that if this even makes it to trial, that there will be an acquittal. We'll keep our eyes on this for you. Also, if you watched my show, The Breakdown, over on the Midas Touch Network this past Sunday, all that Epstein stuff is starting to bubble up to the surface. As predicted. The White House and the Department of Justice are in full-blown panic mode right now, as are Kash Patel, probably Dan Bongino, who we haven't heard hide nor hair from in a while, until, ever since he got the co-deputy director of the FBI, the guy from Missouri, Mr. Bailey, to probably do his job for him because he has no experience. He's just a podcaster, not to knock on podcasters, hi, but he didn't really have any FBI experience to speak of. Now, congressional Republicans are also in panic mode. I had said on Sunday the House Republicans would probably overwhelmingly support, or at least a lot of them would support, the release of the Epstein files in a vote that would be triggered after 7 days post the signing of the discharge petition by Adelita Grijalva, provided that Mace or Boebert hadn't been convinced to remove their names. And today, Politico is reporting that House Democrats believe there will be overwhelming support from Republicans on an inevitable floor vote on the bill that would compel the Justice Department to quickly release the materials related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, if it passes the House, it would probably be dead on arrival in the Senate. It certainly wouldn't be signed by Trump. But this mechanism was always more about getting Republicans on the record, getting them on the record, dumping support for Trump publicly. It was always more about that than it was about any actual release, at least from this avenue. As I said, the real releases are going to come from the Epstein estate through House Democrats or House Republicans, as it turns out, and or from the 1,000+ people at the FBI and the DOJ that were forced to review these files, locked in the building for 24 and 48-hour shifts, not allowed to leave, being forced to watch hours and hours of videos and look at countless photographs of absolutely unspeakable acts. So we're going to talk about all of that today, but there's a lot of other news happening as well, and I'll cover it all. Let's hit the hot notes. Hot notes. First up from the Associated Press, Jeffrey Epstein wrote in 2019 in an email to a journalist that Donald Trump knew about the girls. And that journalist, by the way, is Michael Wolff. Donald Trump knew about the girls. That's according to documents made public Wednesday. The White House quickly accused the Democrats of selectively leaking emails to smear the president. Sure. By the way, Trump is also claiming that this is a deflection from the Dems voting to end the shutdown in the Senate, seemingly claiming that what the Dems did is way worse than what is in the Epstein Files, which is just insanity. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released three emails, referencing Trump, including one that Epstein wrote in 2011 in which he told Ghislaine Maxwell that Trump had spent hours at Epstein's house with a sex trafficking victim. The version of that 2011 email released by the Democrats redacted the name of the victim, but Republicans on the committee later said it was Virginia Giuffre, who accused Epstein of arranging for her to have sexual encounters with a number of his rich and powerful friends. Epstein took his own life, as we know, maybe, in a New York jail in 2019 while awaiting trial on federal charges. The emails made public Wednesday are part of a batch of 23,000 documents provided by Epstein's estate to the Oversight Committee. The release resurfaces a storyline that had shadowed Trump's presidency during the summer when FBI and Justice Department officials abruptly announced that they would not be releasing additional documents that investigators had spent weeks examining, disappointing conspiracy theorists and online sleuths who had expected to see new revelations. In one 2019 email to Michael Wolff, who has written extensively about Trump, Epstein wrote, "Of course he knew about the girls, and he asked Ghislaine to stop." In an April 2nd, 2011 email to Ghislaine, a former Epstein girlfriend now in prison for conspiring to engage in sex trafficking, Epstein wrote, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. The victim spent hours at my house with him, and he has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there." Maxwell replied the same day, "I've been thinking about that." Oh, she knew about somebody spending hours at Epstein's house with Trump. It's interesting. Now, Caroline Leavitt, said that the unnamed person is Giuffre, who had accused Britain's then Prince Andrew and other influential men of sexually exploiting her as a teenager, and who died by suicide in April. Andrew, who recently was stripped of his titles and evicted from his royal residence by King Charles III after weeks of pressure to act over his relationship with Epstein, has rejected Giuffre's allegations, said he didn't recall even meeting her. Leavitt said in a statement that Giuffre had repeatedly said President Trump was not involved in any wrongdoing whatsoever and couldn't have been friendlier. He couldn't have been friendlier to her in their limited interactions. That's why Leavitt wants that redacted name to be Giuffre. That name is there, so they can't really lie about it. We'll see what happens. Something else these emails prove is what we already suspected. Ghislaine Maxwell lied her face off to Todd Blanche in their interview that took place a week before her sex offender status was waived, a story which I broke, and that she was transferred to a minimum security prison. That email about the dog not barking was an email with Ghislaine Maxwell, who told Blanche that Trump never went to Epstein's house. Incidentally, the original phrase, the dog that hasn't barked, that's from Sherlock Holmes. It's a story called Silver Blaze, where a dog's silence ends up being the key clue that the criminal was someone the dog knew. Also from the New York Times, President Trump and his administration on Wednesday ramped up pressure on congressional Republicans who are pushing for the full release of the Epstein Files, rushing to head off a House vote on the matter. They failed. Top officials met in the White House Situation Room on Wednesday with Representative Lauren Boebert. She was summoned to sit down with top Justice Department and FBI officials. One of the people said that the session included Pam Bondi and Patel. Todd Blanche was supposedly there too. Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, confirmed that the meeting took place, calling it an example of transparency. By the way, in her press conference today where she lied her face off, she wasn't wearing her cross. It must have been burning too much. She must have had to ditch it. She said, "It's amazing that administration officials are willing to sit down with members of Congress to address their concerns." Yeah, that's what that was about, Caroline Leavitt. Trump, Patel, Bondi, and Blanche wanted to sit down with Lauren Boebert and listen to her concerns. I'm sure that was what that was about. Mr. Trump has also been reaching out because think about it. Let me back up for a second. Who's going to be the most blackmailable motherfucker in Congress? I mean, there's going to be a lot. But Boebert's got to be one of them. Anyway, Mr. Trump has also been reaching out by phone to Nancy Mace, another of the Republicans who has signed the petition, but the two didn't connect. They were playing phone tag. On Twitter Wednesday, Mace posted the following: "As a survivor, I find it deeply offensive that Democrats would use Epstein victims to bury the headlines about the vote to reopen the government today." What the hell's wrong with you people? You just keep reminding women and survivors you don't support us. Whoa. I'm kind of surprised she didn't withdraw her name from that discharge petition. Because at 1 p.m., my time, West Coast time, on Wednesday, Adelita Grijalva was sworn in and signed the discharge petition immediately. And there didn't seem to be a sign of Mace or Boebert removing their names. Also in the files, nearly a month before Trump met Russian leader Putin in Helsinki in 2018, that disastrous press conference, Epstein attempted to pass a message to Russia's top diplomat. "If you want to understand Trump, talk to me." Quote, "I think you might suggest to Putin that Lavrov can get insight on talking to me." That's what Epstein wrote on June 24th, 2018, to Thorbjorn Jagland, a former prime minister of Norway. Maybe it's Jagland, maybe it's a soft J, who was leading the Council of Europe at the time of the exchange. Lavrov, that was one of the guys Trump had in the Oval Office first week of his first term. Actually, February, I think, of his first term. Yeah, it was February because it was after he fired Comey. Remember he said he fired Comey and ended the Russia problem? Lavrov was one of those guys. Wouldn't allow the press into the Oval Office that day. Also revealed some very top secret and classified Israeli information to the Russians that day that pissed off Netanyahu. Many, many moons ago, I had posited that Epstein was a dirt factory for Putin and MBS on powerful people. Seems like we have that confirmed as far as Trump is concerned. But there's more. I recall posting on Twitter a few years back, quote, "I mean, if Epstein is dead, who will marks like Leon Black pay their $50 million hush money fees to? Has to be Kushner, right? Is MBS the muscle behind Putin's blackmail operation? Anyhow, lots of things make sense when you realize who's in charge of Elon Musk and Jared Kushner." And along those lines, Politico says Epstein often relied on his foreign contacts to learn about their views of Trump as he obsessively tracked the new president's actions. And at other times, he simply showcased his deep connections around the world in emails with other associates. Quote, "Can you believe MBS sent me a tent with carpets and all?" That's what Epstein wrote to billionaire businessman Tom Pritzker in December 2016, referring to Mohammed bin Salman, who we've called Mohammed Bonesaw, the now Saudi crown prince. Among Epstein's international connections was Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, a businessman based in the UAE. Sulayem asked Epstein 2 weeks before Trump's first inauguration if he should accept the invitation extended to him by Trump associate Tom Barrack, who oversaw the event. Epstein was flexing his overseas relationships in an email exchange with former Trump advisor Steve Bannon, telling him in 2018 that Bannon needed to be physically present in Europe to wield influence on the continent. Quote, "If you're going to play here, you have to spend time here. Europe by remote doesn't work." That's what Epstein told Bannon. Also told him he could organize one-on-one meetings with foreign leaders, but that he'd have to stay for several days at a time. Quote, "The fear is that you gin up their hopes and emotions and then abandon them. I think you want to be an insider, not an outsider flying in and out." And CNN points out that in a June 2019 email exchange with Bannon and Epstein wrote, "Prince Andrew and Trump today." This was because he sent him a picture of Prince Andrew and Donald Trump shaking hands. "Too funny. Recall Prince Andrew's accuser came out of Mar-a-Lago?" Wow. Bannon said, "Can't believe nobody's making this connective tissue." Trump fired him from the White House in 2017. Now, keep in mind, the House Dems only released a few files today, but then House Republicans dumped over 20,000 pages, maybe in an attempt to muddy the waters. But those aren't any better. So I'm not sure if they did it to muddy the waters or because they're turning on Trump. I think we'll have a clearer picture in the next couple of days, and we'll see how that vote shakes out on the Epstein files. Provided Johnson doesn't do something sneaky to stop the vote, like, I don't know, change the rules on discharge petitions or something. I can think of a lot of Republicans who might not want to have that vote at all. We'll see. In other news, the Supreme Court extended Ketanji Brown Jackson's pause on SNAP benefits, proving yet again she did the right thing last Friday. Steve Laddick writes, over public dissent from Justice Jackson, the Supreme Court extends the temporary pause of the district court's order that had mandated full SNAP payments for November, keeping that ruling and those payments on hold through the end of the day, Thursday. This is inside baseball, he says, but to me, there's three ways in which this development proves Justice Jackson's unusual intervention Friday night was awesome. I mean, he didn't say that. He said as a development bears out Justice Jackson's unusual intervention Friday night, about which there was much confusion. First, this makes it clear that the majority of the court was not going to force the USD to fund SNAP by Friday. So she was right on that. Second, assuming the full court, had it acted on Friday, would have issued its own administrative stay, the way Jackson structured her ruling cleared the way for the First Circuit to write a 26-page opinion about why the application for a stay should be denied. That wouldn't have happened otherwise. And third, even though this intervention by the court buys the Trump administration time, it only buys them another 48 hours, which again is less time than it likely would have been given had Justice Jackson provoked the full court into overruling her Friday. That may not end up mattering. It's still another 48 hours without SNAP, but compared to the alternative, it sure looks like Justice Jackson's intervention on Friday accomplished as much as it possibly could have, given the limitations she faced. Lots of folks were surprised she didn't force the majority's hand Friday night, but I think her moves make even more sense now. And from NBC, a group of Senate Democrats is pushing for an investigation into the Trump administration's use of federal agency websites and emails to post partisan messages blaming Democrats for the government shutdown. In a letter obtained by NBC News, Elizabeth Warren and other Democrats asked the Government Accountability Office, the GAO, to open a probe into whether the political messages violated federal appropriations laws. The lawmakers point specifically to a rule that prohibits the executive branch from using funds for purely partisan purposes. They're asking for more information from the GAO to see if several agencies violated laws that pertain to ethics and partisan political activity. Multiple agencies have posted messages on their official federal websites blaming Democrats and the, quote, radical left for the shutdown. Some also encouraged employees to post similar message in their out-of-office replies. 5 employees of the Education Department told NBC that their automatic email replies were changed. Remember, they sued and won. Departments of Agriculture, Justice, and Treasury, as well as the SBA, Small Business Administration, used similar language on their websites, with some specifically naming Democrats. Transportation Security Administration began playing videos at some airports nationwide. Kristi Noem, that blamed the Democrats for the shutdown, too. The letter they wrote cites all these examples as evidence and was signed by 11 other senators. Also Brooks, Van Hollen included, Blumenthal, Cory Booker, Andy Kim, Gillibrand, Padilla, Adam Schiff, Lisa Blunt Rochester, and Tina Smith, as well as Ron Wyden. Next up from Forbes, in a clip of the interview that aired on Fox News, the Ingram angle, Trump claimed the U.S. was leading China on AI by a lot. And he said the U.S. has the greatest economy and added there is never going to be a country like what we have right now. Ingram then asked if this meant the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for him. Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers. Trump said, well, I agree, but you also have to bring in talent. And when Ingram said, we have plenty of talented people here, Trump said, no, you don't. Just play that on repeat in every ad between now and, well, he's not running again, but Trump's defense of the H-1B visa program comes less than 2 months after he issued an order that hiked application fees for skilled worker temporary visas to $100,000. H-1Bs have served as a key pathway for U.S. tech industry people to hire skilled foreign workers. And before the fee increase, H-1B petitions would cost companies less than $3,600 per candidate. Last month, the Chamber of Commerce filed a lawsuit in D.C. over the fee hike, warning it would inflict significant harm on American businesses, which would be forced to either dramatically increase their labor costs or hire fewer highly skilled employees for whom domestic replacements are not readily available. Do you like immigration or do you not, sir? Next up from the Times, it was an easy and by all accounts legal way to avoid paying thousands and potentially millions in federal taxes. All you got to do is set up an investment firm with the right legal structure, and the self-employment taxes that fund Social Security and Medicare could become largely optional. The tax maneuver was so routine that even after the IRS moved to crack down on it in 2018 and later won a court opinion blessing that effort, many on Wall Street were unfazed. They assumed the IRS offensive would inevitably collapse. Among those who would benefit from an IRS defeat, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, former hedge fund owner and, since August, the acting commissioner of the IRS. Like many firms on Wall Street, Bessent's hedge fund, Key Square Capital Management, was set up as a limited partnership. Through that structure, Bessent avoided paying about $1 million in Medicare taxes on money he made running his hedge fund in 2021, 22, and 23. That's according to a memo prepared by Democratic Senate staff. The memo, viewed by the New York Times, was based on a review of Bessent's tax returns and also indicated that Bessent paid Social Security taxes in full. Now, Bessent's decision not to pay additional tax has now put him in the unusual spot of personally opposing and having a personal stake in how the IRS interprets tax law. And since he took office, the Treasury and the IRS have backed away from developing regulations to address it. Under Biden, the IRS and the Treasury made a goal to curb the ability of firm owners to avoid paying self-employment taxes like Mr. Bessent did. In 23 and 24, they included the issue on a public list of priorities for further guidance or regulation. When the Trump administration put out its tax regulation proposals last month, developing plans for collecting more self-employment taxes from owners of limited partnerships, it was gone from the list. A Treasury spokesman said the new proposals for regulations, called the Priority Guidance Plan, or PGP, were focused on burden reduction initiatives. The burden of paying taxes for billionaires. Next up, Kentucky Republicans are mad about the shutdown deal. This is from The Guardian, a last-minute provision in the federal spending bill heavily restricting hemp-derived products, such as CBD and THC drinks, could lead some Republicans to vote against the spending bill, which, if passed, could end the government shutdown as early as Wednesday. Kentucky is one of the largest producers of hemp in the country, and Republicans in the state have shown strong support for the hemp industry. Jonathan Miller, an advocate for the hemp industry and former Kentucky state treasurer, said Kentucky is ground zero for the rebirth of hemp, a niche industry until the 2018 Farm Bill allowed a much wider variety of legal products. On Monday night, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul broke with Republican Party members and voted against the bill because of the hemp provision. That's why Rand Paul didn't like this bill. And that provision was revealed at the 11th hour, which Paul tried unsuccessfully to have removed, though he didn't object to unanimous consent to hurry up the passage, which is weird. Miller said Congress had been batting around provisions to ban hemp for months. First, it was part of the Farm Bill. Later, it was part of last year's spending bill. That's what Miller said. Paul successfully had the provision blocked before it found its way back into the bill. Fast forward to November, and the deliberations behind the scenes of the appropriations bill has been added to the minibus, the hemp provision. The addition concerning spending over various sectors, including agriculture. Mitch McConnell and Congressman Andy Harris were instrumental in adding that provision. The current provision of of this hemp thing, it, quote, criminalizes any product that has more than 0.4 milligrams of total THC per container. That's basically zero. 95% of hemp products have way more than 0.4 milligrams. The 2018 Farm Bill's only restriction on hemp was that it contained less than 0.3% Delta-9 THC. The new provision would ban THC in all forms, including Delta-8 and THCA, which are common in hemp products, and would also criminalize non-intoxicating CBD products with trace amounts of THC. The bill will progress to a House vote as early as Wednesday, and I'll talk about that in a second. It needs 218 votes to pass. There are 219 Republican House members, but Kentucky Representatives James Comer, Thomas Massey, and Andy Barr have all spoken out against this ban. And now House Republicans are trying to pass that standalone bill that would repeal part of the shutdown deal that allows senators to sue for $500,000 each over having their phone records subpoenaed. Lindsey Graham even went on the record today and said, heck yeah, I'm going to sue for $1 million at least. But they didn't even start debating until I hit record on this episode. So I'm not sure we'll have news by the time this goes to air. All right, looking at the feed, the procedural vote to put the bill up for debate did pass 213 to 209. So the funding bill will now be debated for about an hour and then they vote. If I do get an update in time for this to go to air, I'll put it right here. Hey, everybody. Breaking news as of 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. The shutdown bill has passed the House. The government funding bill has passed the House 222 to 209. 6 Democrats voted yes. 2 Republicans voted no. The Democrats that voted yes, Jared Golden, Gray of California, MGO, that's Glusenkamp Perez, Davis, Cuellar, and Tom Suozzi. And Massey and Stubbe are the Republicans who voted no. Again, it has passed the House 222 to 209. That likely moots the snap battle that was going on over at the Supreme Court. And I'm also very disappointed that Leader Jeffries was not able to get unanimity in the caucus in the House, just as Schumer was unable to get unanimity in the Senate Democratic caucus. So everybody, we'll talk more about this on tomorrow's Beans. All right, everybody, that brings us to your good trouble.
What are you guys doing?
All right, your good trouble is kind of the same as it was yesterday. Keep calling your House reps and tell them vote no on the shutdown deal and yes on the Epstein Files when that vote comes up. That vote's a little bit later. By the time you hear this, I'm not real sure whether that government shutdown deal will have passed the House. But if it hasn't yet, give them a call. And you might as well, so that you can tell them to vote yes on releasing the Epstein Files. Doesn't matter if your representative is a Republican or a Democrat. All right, everybody, stick around. We'll be right back with the good news.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar. It's our exclusive snack and hydration sponsor here at the Daily Beans. IQ Bar is the better-for-you plant protein-based snack made with brain-boosting nutrients to refuel, nourish, and satisfy hunger without the sugar crash. And right now, IQ Bar is offering you an exclusive deal, 20% off all IQ Bar products. Plus, you get free shipping. Just text Daily Beans to 64,000. IQ Bar has become my favorite daily staple because it makes fueling my body and brain simple and delicious. Their ultimate sampler pack is the best way to try everything that they make. The IQ Bar protein bars, the 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks all in one box. And what makes these products stand out is the quality of the ingredients. Everything's free from gluten, no dairy, no soy, no GMOs, no artificial sweeteners. Instead, they're packed with clean nutrients like magnesium, lion's mane, and adaptogens that actually help you feel your best. The IQ Bar protein bars are the smarter snack choice. They have more fiber and less sugar and carbs than the alternatives. IQ Mix, that's a zero sugar hydration mix. They're delicious. They have electrolytes that also support mood and clarity. They're not too sweet. And IQ Joe gives you a little jitter-free energy boost with 200 milligrams of natural caffeine in 4 delicious instant coffee flavors that taste better than drip coffee. Now, flavor options keep things fun. Mint chocolate chip bars, blueberry pomegranate hydration mix, toasted hazelnut coffee. They have such great flavors. There's even a limited edition seasonal flavor, multiple seasonal flavors to switch things up. And with over 20,000 5-star reviews, more people than ever are trying IQ Bar to fuel busy days. For me, it's become second nature to grab my IQ Bar or my Q Mix to recharge and start my morning with IQ Joe. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including their sampler pack and free shipping. So to get your 20% off, text Daily Beans to 64,000. Text Daily Beans to 64,000. One more time, text the word Daily Beans to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. Hey, everybody, it's AG. If you're planting now or just plotting for later, Fast Growing Trees makes the yard in your head come to life. They ship high-quality plants to your door really quickly, and they're America's largest growing online nursery with more than 1,600 options. Now, they have been delivering since 2005, so they know what they're doing. And you can scroll everything from fruit trees and privacy hedges to flowering trees, shrubs, and more. Ordering is easy. You buy online, your plants arrive in just a couple of days, which also makes them a very smart gift for the holidays. Their Alive and Thrive guarantee means your order shows up healthy and ready to settle in. Every plant is grown here in the U.S. and cared for by experts before it ships, so when the box lands on your porch, you're already halfway to your dream yard. Now, for my project, I got my Meyer lemons, my lime tree, 2 avocado trees. It's my guacamole garden. The original quote I received from the landscapers sent me straight to fastgrowingtrees.com, and I did it myself, and I saved 90% off the cost from the local nursery. No messy trunk, no wasted Saturday, no being limited by an in-store selection. Instead, I unboxed strong, well-rooted plants with clear instructions. I was also able to speak with Fast Growing Trees plant experts about spacing and watering. I learned that I have to get 2 little avocado trees and put them next to each other. So I had all the help in the world, and doing it myself saved me, like I said, 90% of the cost. Now, I already have a neater privacy line there, so now I've got this guacamole garden. I'm super excited. So this season, they have the best deals for your yard, including up to half off tons of plants and other deals. And listeners to our show, you get 15% off your next purchase when you use the code DailyBeans at checkout. That's 15% off your next purchase at fastgrowingtrees.com and use the code DailyBeans at checkout. Now is the perfect time to plant. Use Daily Beans to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Check out the link below or in the show notes to support the Daily Beans. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's time for the good news.
Who likes good news, everyone? Then good news, everyone.
Good news, good news. And if you have any little bit of good news, no matter how big, no matter how small, whether it happened this week or 20 years ago, we would love to hear from you. You know, when you're sitting around talking to friends and telling stories and you think of a story that you want to share, that's what we want you to send to us. Even if it's a joke, like when you're sitting around and telling your favorite street jokes, we want to hear your favorite street joke. Maybe misheard song lyrics that you think are hilarious. We would love to hear about that too. We would also love to hear shout outs, whether it's to a food pantry doing some great work or another nonprofit you want to shine a light on or a small business in your area that could use a boost while we're all trying to not shop at Target and Amazon and all that. We would love to hear about that. We also like shout outs to loved ones. We love self shout outs. We'd love to hear what your thesis and dissertation titles are. We like shout outs to government programs because we want to get it on the record for posterity that these programs really mean a lot to people's lives. So you can send it all to us at dailybeanspod.com and click on contact. And all you got to do to get your submission read on the air is pay your pod pet tariff, which means either attach a photo of your pet, or if you don't have a pet, send us an adoptable pet in your area. We'll see if we can find him a home. If you don't have that, just grab a random photo of an animal on the internet, or maybe a family photo, baby photos, awkward family photos, your high school yearbook picture, your mom's high school yearbook picture. Send us photos of what you're making and creating to get through these times, whether you're crocheting or knitting or painting, writing, music. Maybe you're writing a play. Maybe you're making a movie. Maybe you're making a role-playing game. We've had a few of those. Send all that to us. If you're growing something in your garden, we would love to see that. Photos of your happy place, maybe a nice sunset, maybe pictures of your favorite signs at a rally or some great overpass protest signs that you've seen. Send it all to us, dailybeanspod.com, and click on contact. First up from Jake, pronouns he and him. Hey, Beans Queens, sending over a shout out for my wife. She's an occupational therapist here in Seattle fighting the good fight. She works for a local nonprofit and serves the underserved and forgotten with the most amazing fighting spirit. Things are tough with the orange Mussolini and his cronies taking money away from those who need it the most. But my wife keeps fighting, tooth and nail, to do what's right for those who don't have a voice at the table. I'm in awe of her drive and dedication, and I know she will prevail. For my pod pet tax, attached is a photo of my parents' dog, Penelope. She was the runt of the litter, and my parents got her when she was a few months old. To see her whole body wag when she sees a familiar face is a sight to be seen, and so glad she can bring smiles to everyone she meets. This is her napping, as only I wish I could, on a shelf in their pantry. I know I'm so jealous of my cat's ability to just sleep so peacefully, Jake. That's a wonderful shout out to your spouse. Thank you so much. Next up from Ellen Devlin. Hello, my lovelies. While I'm currently incandescent with rage about the Senate bullshittery, I actually received some good news this morning, so it's a perfect time to share. I wrote in a while ago about being the secret nom de plume author of 2 extra spicy romance novels. Yes, I remember. You asked me to send links, and this is a perfect opportunity just presented itself. I just got an email from my publisher that the first book, Kissing Mickey, is going to be free from November 11th through the 15th. Here's a link. And we'll have a link in the show notes for you. Still working on books 3 and 4. I'll get there. Thank you for being such a solid link to sanity. I often use you guys as my should I be freaking out right now about this touchstone? And the good news always cheers me up. My tariff is a picture from a spontaneous trip to Skyline Drive this past weekend. Our national parks are glorious. And then there's a picture of the covers of my books because go me. Look at this. Look at this. Kissing Mickey, Chasing Paige by Ellen Devlin. And we're going to have a link for you to get those books in our show notes. That's a beautiful photo, by the way. That looks so peaceful and quiet. Thank you for that. Next up, Andy from Minneapolis, pronouns she and her. I love Minneapolis. Hi, Beans Queens. I'm furious and heartbroken over the vote to reopen the government without ACA credit extensions. This happened under the so-called leadership of Chuck Schumer and Dick Durbin. So if your senators are Democrats, please call them and thank them for their no vote, or yell about their yes vote and tell them that Schumer and Durbin need to go. Senate Democrats need new leadership that will stand up for us. For my pod pet tariff, I've included pics of my dynamic duo, Edison and Nicola. I'll let you guess which is which. Oh my goodness. I think Nicola's the girl and Edison's the boy, but I could be totally wrong. You let me know. Oh, here we go. Edison is the calico and Nicola is the void. I had it exactly opposite. Thank you. And I love this new redaction, this Manafort redaction on the answers to these questions for me. Keeps me honest. Next up from Anonymous, it's a correction. Hi, Beans Queens. I heard you read my aunt's good news about our thesis titles. As you requested, here are the pronunciations. Saccharomyces cerevisiae is pronounced Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Visiae. Cerevisiae. And the Arabidopsis thaliana is pronounced Arabidopsis thaliana. Okay, I got it. Arabidopsis thaliana and Saccharomyces cerevisiae. All right. Hope this helps. Yes, it does. Thank you. And both my mom and aunt's urging, I recently started listening to the Daily Beans. I had been completely avoiding the news for months to protect my mental health. They recommended your show as a way to stay informed without sacrificing my sanity. Thank you so much for all you do, the good you put out into the world, and keeping people aware but hopeful. For my pod pet tariff, here's my beautiful rescue kitty who kept me company through my first year of grad school. Long gone, but never forgotten. Oh, so beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I love this. We've gotten 3 emails on those, on those theses. Oh, those are great. Next up, bird watching photo from Dana Goldberg. Yes, Dana. It's Dana. Bird watching in Chicago. Ah, my friend, I miss you. I'm so sad you're not here today. What a crazy news day. That made my day. Everybody, thank you so very much for your good news. Please send it all to us. dailybeanspod.com. Click on contact. I know there's a lot of Leguminati seeing Dana in Chicago. Send us your bird watching photos. Send us what you thought of the comedy show. That is tomorrow night. And I look forward to Dana being back in your ears with me. But thank you for hanging in with me solo. I'll see you over on the Beans Talk if you're a patron. And I look forward to releasing our video pod on December 1st to the public. So everybody, I'll be back in yours tomorrow. Until then, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health, and take care of your family. I've been AG, and them's the Beans.
The Daily Beans is written and executive produced by Allison Gill with additional research and reporting by Dana Goldberg. Sound design and editing is by Desiree McFarlane, with art and web design by Joelle Reeder with Moxie Design Studios. Music for The Daily Beans is written and performed by They Might Be Giants, and the show is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, please visit mswmedia.com.
MSW Media.